Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and as you can probably already tell from the title of this video, I'm going to be sharing my brow routine with you guys. I do get a lot of questions about how I do my eyebrows, especially from other people who have naturally really thick brows, and a lot of questions come from beginners to makeup, and they are usually just nervous about putting makeup on their eyebrows and they don't really know where to start. So I don't have a very intense brow routine, but I am gonna share with you how I do my brows. So let's get started. I always start by plucking any stray hairs that I have. I do not get my brows threaded or waxed or anything like that. If you do that to maintain your brow shape, then they may tell you not to pluck in between, so always follow their advice. But I shape my brows myself. So I just start by plucking any stray hairs that I have, especially down the tail. I mean, I get this weird brow that grows down here. What are you doing? You're not even near the eyebrow. Get out of here. I like to use these little mini slanted tweezers from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I just like the size. I like the slant. I like the way they fit my hand. These just work really well for me. You know, experiment and find what tweezers you like, but I highly recommend these little mini tweezers. I've already cleaned up my stray brow hairs just for the sake of making this video not a million years long and not really boring. But one thing that I think a lot of people neglect, or maybe they just don't know what to do, is to actually trim the length of the brow hairs, you know, throughout the brow. So to do that, if you have scraggly hairs like I do, you can trim those down with some scissors. I have these mini scissors from Revlon, and I only use them for my brows. I don't use them to open packaging or anything like that. And I use a little spoolie. This is just a disposable mascara wand. You can find them at any beauty supply stores. I like to switch these out really frequently because they get really gunked up from brow product on them. So I switch them out frequently. You can clean them, but they're disposable, so you know, you can just replace them. So to trim my brow hairs, what I do is I take a spoolie and I brush my brow hairs straight up. It looks so scary. Just like that, just brush them straight up. And then I take my mini scissors and I trim the very ends of the brows where they stick up over the natural outline of the top of my brow. So I'm not hacking off a big long portion of hair. Be careful not to cut yourself. I'm just trimming the very ends. I know that looks weird, but once you brush it out, you can see you've maintained the shape of your brow, but you've just gotten rid of the ends of those long scraggly brow hairs. And if you have any that stick out underneath, this method may not get rid of those. So once you brush your hairs back into place, you can always take your scissors and individually snip a little hair under there. Just don't go ham and start chopping all your brow hairs off. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And that's it. Now your brows are trimmed. And we're ready to start filling in. I usually do my foundation and my face before I do my eyebrows, but I am gonna film another tutorial after this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do my brows here with you guys. If you have a very sparse brow, you may wanna look into using a pomade to create more of a shape. I do not have that problem. All I do is use product to fill in any patchy spots or bald spots and to add a little bit more drama to my brows. when I'm doing very full makeup, I do like to darken my brows. I have very dark hair. I have naturally very dark eyebrows too, but I like the look of a really bold brow for myself. And I'm gonna show you guys how I do that. I am going to start off with my NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This is very similar to the Anastasia Brow Wiz, which I also really like to use. But today I'm gonna use my micro brow, and I'm gonna zoom you guys in to show you how I fill in my brows. There's a retractable pencil on one end, it twists up, and on the other end there is a spoolie. I will be using both sides of the pencil for my brows. What I like to do is start in the center of my brow and then kind of lighten my strokes as I go towards the front and the tail of the brow, with the heaviest application here in the center. I just feel like that's most natural looking on me. So I'm gonna start with some light strokes in the center. And then work my way to the ends using the lightest hand towards the front and the tail. Now the tails of my brows are uneven. As you can see, this one comes to more of a point than this one does. So I will kind of try and make those match a little bit, but eyebrows are sisters, not twins, so they don't have to look exactly the same. You can see I'm using really light, like feathery strokes, and this way it will imitate the look of brow hairs and it won't look like a drawn on like Sharpie brow. Then I will go with the spoolie and brush through just to distribute that product and to make sure that I'm getting the shape that I want. Then I will, once I've brushed through with the spoolie, I will go back and see if there are any spots that I need to darken or touch up. And just being careful not to make too many like outside of the line strokes. I'm gonna speed through the other eyebrow. So this is just how I normally do my brows. I'd put a little brow gel in and I'd be done. But I'm gonna show you guys how I add a little bit extra drama when I wanna do something really glamorous, or just when I'm feeling like having a really bold brow day. I do add a little bit of brow powder. My favorite brow powder brush is this little e.l.f. angled brush. I don't think it's actually intended for eyebrow powder, but it's just kind of the perfect shape and size for me. And I'm also going to use an eyeshadow instead of a brow powder, but you can really use your makeup however you want. However it works for you, you just do it. I'm using the eyebrow trio from Smashbox called Filter, and I like to use this shade, this darkest shade. It's called Sumatra. Sometimes I'll mix it a little bit with Sable, but I'm gonna use just this darkest shade today. I just dip my brush in, tap it off a little bit, and then I'll use the same method, light feathery strokes starting in the center and then working my way towards the front and the tail. And then I will just brush through that with my spoolie. And as you can see, this brow becomes much darker and much more like bold and in your face. Just with that little bit of powder, I only dipped into it once, and that's really all you need. So I'm going to, again, speed through this brow, and then we'll talk about brow gel. Now that my bold, deep brows are on, I need some brow gel to keep these crazy scraggly hairs in place. My favorite brow gel is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's just the clear brow gel, and this stuff will hold your brows in place. Like, there could be an apocalypse and your brows would still be in place. All I do is brush a little bit of that through. Make sure I get underneath and the tails, because that's where I have the most like straggler brows. And last but not least, I will go back with my spoolie and brush through my brows to make sure everything's evenly distributed and all my brow hairs are in place. And that's it. That's how I do my eyebrows. It usually only takes me about maybe 5 or 10 minutes. It wasn't always that fast. So just take your time, practice, find out what works for you, and eventually, once you kind of perfect your routine, you'll be able to get through them a lot quicker. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, feel free to leave any video requests in the comments section, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.